With me is Justin Wintle, the biographer of Aung San Suu Kyi. His book, Perfect Hostage, charted the life of the opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi. But now Myanmar in the news really for communal violence. What's your take on the, as it's been...
Sadly so. We're talking primarily about the Rohingyas here. The Rohingyas are a Muslim community in Rakhine State, which is in the west of Burma. In fact, there's been communal tension for decades and decades. One of the problems is that Rakhine, or Arakan, and that's the big issue, as it used to be called, is right up against the Bangladeshi border. Whatever anybody says, there's a very big element of racism going on, which you've got a Buddhist community, the Rakhines, who, to all intents and purposes, are Burmans, who are the majority people, and you've got the Muslim community there. And I mean, you've got a diplomat from the government a couple of years ago who's in Hong Kong and said that the Rohingyas were despicable because they were so ugly. And you've got, that sort of thing going on. Now, in the last couple of months, I've met two very, very nice senior Buddhist people from sort of Burma, and they talk about loving kindness and the brotherhood of man and all that.
Buddhist things.
Until you mention the Rohingyas. And then they say, they don't belong in our country. They're all illegal immigrants. Well, the problem is that there is a very large Muslim community in that part of Burma. Right across Burma, there are 2 to 3 million Muslims. In that part of Burma, there are about 700,000 or 800,000 people who are called Rohingyas. But there are strands to the Muslim community there. It is almost certain that Arab traders arrived there in the late medieval period. You then got some of these Rohingyas who are basically Bengalis came in. When the British arrived, and of course, like all the problems in Burma, it all goes back to the British rule, basically. What they did was they brought in Rohingya workers, Muslim workers, from what was then the sort of Indian Empire, because they didn't drink and they worked very hard and they had a belief in God. It may have been a slightly different God from the Christian God, but it was in the same area, as it were. And therefore, and a lot of these people, first of all, it was seasonal, then they stayed there. So you have got Muslims there who've been there for generations and generations. But the military government in Burma, which was set up in 1962, would never grant them citizenship or allow them the right of that. You then got, in World War II, when the Brits were fighting the Japanese, the Brits armed some of the Rohingyas because they felt that they could depend upon them. And you've got to remember at that point that Aung San Suu Kyi's father, Aung San, was working with the Japanese and had built up the Burmese army. So the Brits weren't going to give any of his friends weapons, but they gave them to Rohingyas. Some of those Rohingyas then used those weapons against the local Rakhines, and that is when the communal violence really bedded down.
Fascinating, but then as to now,
yes,
why on earth are we beginning to hear about this communal violence starting up, horrific pictures of entire villages being destroyed, and so soon after we saw those pictures of Hillary Clinton hugging the subject of your biography?
Well, I mean, one shouldn't assume that this kind of thing goes on all the time. It does not, but there are occasional flare-ups, as it were.
30,000 dead?
Well, 30, I mean, that's preposterous. What is certainly true is that many villages have been razed. The estimate is between 5,000 and 7,000 homes have been destroyed.
The United States received great praise for sending out Hillary Clinton famously to meet Aung San Suu Kyi as she was released. Elsewhere, people are saying that the United States allied, in a sense, to Salafis in Syria. How would the State Department be looking at the Rohingya
Well, I think it's come at absolutely the wrong time because, as we've seen over the last year, things are really moving in Myanmar. And then along comes this squalid story. It'll flare up again in the future, no doubt about it.
But don't you think Aung San Suu Kyi...
No, Aung San Suu Kyi...
herself probably hates the Rohingya anyway.
Well,
she may herself be a racist in this.
Well, no, hang on. I think one's got to be very careful one way or the other about laying charges like that. She initially, when the violence started up, and it was quite clear that there was a backlash against the Muslim Rohingyas, she expressed public sympathy for the ordeal that they were going through. What she hasn't done...
This was when?
Oh, this was eight weeks ago, nine weeks ago, when it all started up. What she hasn't done is address publicly the issue of statelessness. Now, that does undermine her credibility as the sort of as the angel of human rights on this planet, and I think she's made a mistake there. Now, there are two aspects for it. It may very well be that she's considering how best to do it, and she doesn't like being rushed into anything. On the other hand, and there's an element of truth in what you're saying, I've always drawn attention to the fact that she's a patrician person. I mean, you don't get more upper class in Burma than being Aung San's daughter. I mean, he was the founder of modern Burma. And it is an unfortunate fact that the level of resentment by the Buddhist Burmese against these Rohingyas is very, very deep indeed. And it is not inconceivable that Aung San Suu Kyi is just being high Burma, as they call it. And whether she's making a political calculation with the elections coming up in 2015, if she were to make a really principled stand in support, I mean, if she were to say, you know, those Rohingyas who have been there for several, generations, they are citizens. We have responsibility towards them. She would really risk losing a lot of votes.
Thank you very much, Justin Wintle.
My pleasure.
Now it's time for People of Britain. Let's go to our roaming reporter. Time for our special section, People of Britain. Over to you, Leicester Square. Hello, Leicester. How are you? Hello, Afshin. Yes, I'm fine, although it is snowing here in London. Where are you? Well, as you can see, I'm here in Tent City, where all the homeless in London gather from all around the country. But anyway, it's time now for People of Britain. Clint Eastwood appeared at the Republican National Convention in the United States to support Mitt Romney. Over here, they're thinking of getting Ozzy Osbourne to...
Yeah, not quite the same thing, I think.
But a good idea by the British government?
Well, I don't know. It'd be different.
So the decision has been made. They want to sell. The entire city of Liverpool, or they want to destroy it to build the new third runway at Heathrow Airport. A good idea?
I think that's a great idea. I don't really want another runway over London, so might as well take Liverpool instead, I think.
Clint Eastwood was at the Republican convention. David Cameron thinking of getting Ozzy Osbourne at the Conservative conference. A good idea?
Yeah, it could be a good idea.
Hi there. They're thinking of demolishing Liverpool to build a third runway at Heathrow. Is it a good idea?
I don't mind. It doesn't affect me. Maybe a third runway, maybe it's better because a lot of tourists coming. We need runway. But the doctor say I can't travel now, so it doesn't affect me.
The National Health Service, a new logo is being designed, but the cost of it, they will have to sell 10 to 15 hospitals to pay for the new logo. A good idea? Branding important?
Depends on the logo. If it's a good logo, then I guess you've got to sell hospitals.
They're thinking of demolishing the city of Liverpool to build a third runway at Heathrow Airport. A good idea?
Yeah, better than here, I suppose.
Clint Eastwood at the Mitt Romney conference for the Republicans in the United States, but David Cameron wants Ozzy Osbourne. A strange choice?
I don't know who Ozzy Osbourne is. I do know. I'm afraid.
I don't know who he is either.
I know who Clint Eastwood is, and I'm totally anti-Republican, so they can make as much mess of it as they like.
They're thinking of demolishing the entire city of Liverpool to build a third runway for Heathrow. A good idea?
Isn't that too far away from Heathrow?
They're thinking of demolishing the entire city of Liverpool for the third runway at Heathrow Airport. A good idea?
Terrific idea.
Why?
Well, it's Liverpool, isn't it? It's up north.
They're going to revamp the logo for the National Health Service, but they'll need to sell 10 hospitals off to fund the new logo, people. A good...
New logo. He's making fun of us. New logo, but no logo, it doesn't matter. The selling off is what matters. And this is our health service. It was the best service, national service in the world. And they're very, very cleverly privatising it bit by bit by bit. What we want is to get rid of the Conservative government.
They're thinking of demolishing Liverpool to build the third runway at Heathrow Airport. A good idea? I want to ask you one more question.
Look, we've answered enough questions. We are very busy people. We're going now, you see my T-shirt, we're feminist anti-militarists, and we're going now to stand in a vigil where we stand every single week and say that wars and militarism are no answer to anything, and that's a more serious thing than what you're doing. But thank you very much.
The new BP logo cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Do you think the NHS logo selling off 10 hospitals a bad idea to pay for it?
No. No speak English. No.
There you have it, Afshin, the people of Britain. I've just been informed this isn't actually Tent City for the homeless, it's Tent City for the athletes. This is where all the athletes have been staying. Anyway, it's back to you in the studio. Thanks, Lester. I look forward to hearing more from the people of Britain next week. You can email us at comment@doublestandardstv.com. See you next week.